We will be moving on to our roll call. So Trustee Corzo is here. Trustee Hitchcock?
Here.
Trustee Proctor?
I'm here,
Trustee
sorry.
Proctor? That's okay. Trustee Chin?
Here.
And Trustee Watkins?
Here.
Thank you. Moving on to approval of agenda.
Motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second. Me.
Okay, so that was Shara with the motion and Rebecca with the second. Moving on to statements. Public statements related to non-agenda topics. The San Mateo Foster City School Board.
Hold on one moment. You need to do a roll call vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So back to the approval of the agenda. Yes, from Trustee Corzo. Trustee Hitchcock? Can you give us a verbal, please?
Am I seconding or saying here?
Saying yes or a.
Second.
We need a yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Parker?
Yes.
Trustee Chen?
Yes.
Trustee Watkins?
Yes.
Okay, so our agenda is approved and we are moving on to public statements. Okay, public statements related to non-agenda topics. The San Mateo Foster City, the San Mateo Foster City School Board cannot act upon any matter that has not been included and publicly posted on the agenda except under limited circumstances as permitted by law. The board may refer matters raised in this forum to staff for investigation and/or action where appropriate. Please limit your statements to 3 minutes. And I will, Peter, do we have any public comments?
So at this time, President Corzo, anybody who is attending this board meeting and would like to make public comments and address the board, we are doing this in somewhat of a new modality. Using Zoom's raise your hand feature, please raise your hand if you would like to address the board. President Corzo, at the current time, we have one attendee that would like to address the board. I believe it is Randy. Randy, I'm about to unmute your microphone.
Hi, thank you. Yes, I would just like to have agenda item 6.1.2 when you move on to the consent agenda. I have comments to make on that item. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Appreciate that.
Any other public comment?
All right, we have no other hands being raised at this time, President Corzo, for public comment on non-agenda items.
Okay, thank you. So we are moving on. Public statements related to agenda items. Persons will be called on at the appropriate time. And we are moving on to our foundation and committee reports.
I'll start. Oh,
go ahead.
Okay. I'll start. We had only one committee meeting. Trustee Corzo and I attended virtually, via phone call and teleconference, I suppose, a meeting of the Sanctuary Task Force this afternoon. The agenda items that we talked about mainly address the distance learning and how we try to make sure that our vulnerable population is needs are addressed. And we basically heard stories from different parents and other committee members about what we are hearing in the community. And what we plan to do is come back next week for another meeting of the committee to think about what the next steps are. And so we may have some sort of recommendation from the Sanctuary Task Force to the board or the executive cabinet that hopefully sort of addresses some of the vulnerable community members that we have as it relates to distance learning.
Thank you. Any other reports or updates? No? Okay. So we will move on to announcements. And I'm sorry, I am not able, my screen is frozen. So if folks are raising their hand, I'm sorry, I'm not able to see that. So if Peter, if you could,
Absolutely.
I don't know how we're doing this.
I'll be happy to help facilitate the people speaking.
I'll just mention as the announcement, I know we talked about it in our special meeting just right before this regular meeting, about the San Mateo County Strong Fund. I know that, you know, for all of us who've been on the local elected officials phone calls, and we're trying to promote that fund. And Trustee Corso did mention how San Mateo County put initial $3 million, and then the healthcare district put another $3 million. I believe that everyone is trying to donate to that, and those funds will go towards, you know, nonprofits and businesses and our community members who are really hurting during these times. And so for those who weren't part of our special meeting a few minutes ago, I would just want to highlight that that fund is out there. And if you Google SMC Strong, you'll find that that nonprofit has been set up to help support our community members who are really hurting during this pandemic.
President Corzo, are there any other announcements? President Corzo, I believe your phone is muted. Okay. Dr. Rosas, in light of trying to help President Corzo, maybe some of our technology, maybe go on to the superintendent's report.
So the superintendent's report was going to be related to COVID-19, and we just spent 2 hours on that. So I will make no further remarks at this time. Thank you.
Okay. I'm wondering if we should maybe take a quick brief recess to allow me to engage with President Corzo to see if I can help her with some of her technology. Do we feel that that would be an appropriate? Okay, so I'm going to ask that we just pause for a moment. My apologies. Dr. Rosas, would you do me a favor and please text message me President Corzo's number so that I can engage with her and see what I can do to assist remotely. So please mute yourselves at this point in time. Go ahead and close down your cameras, and we will be back shortly.
Hello?
President Corzo, your audio is working currently.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm so sorry, folks, to keep everyone waiting. My computer is having issues. I believe we were moving on from superintendent report, but did we have any other announcements? I'll make one.
There were none other ones.
Actually, yeah, no, I don't have an announcement to make, actually. Okay. Let me, 1 second, please. Okay. So moving on to proposed consent agenda with the exception of item 6.1.2. Do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda minus 6.1.2.
Do I have a second?
I will second that.
Okay, roll call vote. Yes. Trustee Chin?
Yes.
Trustee Hitchcock?
Yes.
Trustee Watkins?
Yes.
Trustee Proctor?
Yes.
Okay. So we will now move on to item 6.1.2, and I believe we had a public comment.
Thank you, President Corzo. Would those who would like to comment on item 6.1.2, non-public school, please raise your hand. Okay. Randy, I am going to unmute your microphone and you'll be able to address the board.
Thank you. So just 6 weeks ago, the board heard and received the results from the audit of the district special ed program. And one thing that was highlighted in that audit was our district's extreme use of non-public school placements for special ed. And these placements presumably are for students whose educational needs cannot be met by the district. So this attachment to the agenda asks you to approve 1 year of non-public school for one student at a cost of $139,500. So for a point of comparison, I looked it up, and currently a year of Harvard tuition, fees, and room and board is $69,600. So this puzzles me, and it leads me to some questions that I hope you have the answers to as you approve consent agenda items like this. If you don't have the answers, perhaps you can ask Dr. Drinkwater or Dr. Roses. First, how many students formerly educated in our district and still living within our district and in grades kindergarten through 8th grade have non-public school placements? Second, what proportion of these placements is obtained through legal action against the district? And third, what is the average yearly cost of a non-public school placement versus the per pupil spend of a special needs student that is educated within the district? And yeah, I think that these are important things to find out and to be cognizant of before you approve these kinds of expenses. And I just want to know if this is out of the norm or if this is typical. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. President Corzo, at this time, we have no other comments on item 6.1.2.
This item. Can you hear me?
President Corzo, we could hear you. I think we just caught the tail end of whatever comments you were making. So if you could just repeat yourself, we can't hear you now.
Oh, okay, great. So I'm not sure if folks want to discuss this, but I will just say that NPS specifics are confidential and they are discussed in closed session. And I know that is something that we are working on in terms of a district plan for the audit that was done. But now we are, we are faced with very different situation. We're not, life looks a lot differently now than it did 2 weeks ago. And so I will just make that point and open it up for discussion from other folks or district staff. And I will just say, I'm sorry, my computer is not working with me right now, so I'm only listening.
I will help you navigate, President Corzo. So are there any particular comments from the board at this time? Trustee Hitchcock?
Thank you. I just want to say, well, I know a lot of the information surrounding students is confidential. I'm wondering if we can get a breakdown of what the general MPS financials entail, and then the comparison to other districts.
We could bring that kind of information to you at a board meeting, certainly.
Great. Thank you.
Trustee Chin, it looked like you had a comment or a question to make.
Thank you. I was trying to figure out whether I was supposed to raise my hand or not. I had a momentary blank there. I was going to say that, yes, the NPS students, we do get updates. It seems like every board meeting in closed session, it is confidential. We do, from my recollection, know, how many students are in the NPS program. We do get some through legal action as well. It is a concern that the cost is very high, and I know that our audit did recommend that we should look into sort of looking at reducing them. So I know that through the next steps, when we go through addressing those, we'll probably look at that as well. But I am comfortable with knowing some of the questions, the answers that some of the questions that the public commenter asked. I feel confident over the several meetings that we've had that I have enough information at this time. I would like to see it reduced, but at this time I feel comfortable with this item, and I will make a recommendation to approve item 6.1.2.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. I vote yes. Trustee Hitchcock?
Yes.
Trustee Watkins?
Yes.
Trustee Proctor?
Yes.
Trustee Chin?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And we are now moving on to item 7.1.
This item is related to our second phase of projects. The first one, 7.1, is around Bowditch Middle School and the architects that have been selected for that project. And 7.2 that's coming next will be around Sunnybrae's project and the architects that have been chosen for that project. And I believe Patrick Gaffney is available to respond to, or well, to give a little overview and respond to any questions.
Thank you. Can you all hear me okay? Good evening, everyone. Some positive news for everyone tonight. We're moving forward with these 2 contracts with these 2 firms. We're really excited about moving forward on these projects. We're bringing forward the master agreement and the addendums that cite the project specifically. And also the fee structure is embedded in what you're approving tonight as well too. You'll see that the fee structure is the same for both firms. And next meeting, we'll bring to you the HMC architect contract as well. HMC Architects contract is a little bit different because the existing contract we had with them was for the new school in Foster City, and there was a few complexities involved with that, but we're working through those and making some minor adjustments to that to make sure that our existing contract language we can negotiate with them is resident in what we bring forward to you for the project they're going to work on for us. So pleased to bring this forward to you tonight and ask for your approval for these 2 contracts with both these firms.
Thank you, Patrick. Any questions or discussion on this item?
President
Okay, do I
Corzo,
have a
nobody
motion?
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to let you know nobody has raised their hand at this point, and I'm getting some head nods. So
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve 6.1.2.
Do I have a second?
Sorry, we're on 7. And are we doing 7.1 and 7.2 at the same time?
I
You
am
do individually.
Motion to approve
They're
7.1.
individual.
Motion to approve 7.1.
second.
Second.
Okay, so Shara with the motion, Rebecca with the second, and roll call vote. Yes from Trustee Corzo, Trustee Chin,
Yes.
Trustee Hitchcock,
Yes.
Trustee Watkins,
Yes.
Trustee Proctor.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to 7.2.
Motion to approve 7.2.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Trustee Corzo, yes. Trustee Chin,
Yes.
Trustee Hitchcock,
Yes.
Trustee Watkins,
Yes.
Trustee Proctor.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 8.1.
Good evening. As we do every year, I'm presenting for you resolution number 2019-20 for reduction of classified services for the 2020 and 2021 school year. Per Education Code 45114, the governing board may lay off classified employees for lack of work or lack of funds. As we have done every year, there are positions that are funded by PTA, LCAP, and Title I that are placed for layoff. One is because the PTA has not finalized its budget and not determined whether they have available funding for next school year. This, as you know, is a very unusual year, given that many of the PTAs did have to cancel their fundraisers. And so we are all waiting. Patrick Gaffney and I did have a phone call with Catherine Goodman to discuss what's happening with PTA budgets. And many of the PTAs are still in the process of determining whether their funds are available. The good thing for the district is that if you take a look at the number of positions, based on the law, even if we are laying off part of the position, we still need to list the entire position. So for example, if I'm a 5-hour librarian, 4 hours is paid by the district and 1 hour may be paid by the PTA. However, we can't just list the 1 hour as a layoff. It has to be the entire position. And what we would do is negotiate with CSEA to determine if we're going to reduce that 1 hour. So we believe that given many of our positions are partial layoffs like that, that we will be able to offer all of the employees that are going to be impacted by a layoff with a position, as we think that we have a sufficient number of paraeducators, especially in the special education program, that we would be able to offer them positions. So although we may not be able to offer the exact position that they're in, we believe that we'll be able to offer them work in other positions. So similarly, we have positions funded by LCAP and Title I. School sites are still gathering input and developing site plans. And so just in case there are some changes, those positions are also placed on the layoff list. So at this time, I respectfully request the approval of Resolution 2019-20 to reduce classified services and the corresponding 56.83 FTE classified employees per the education code to address possible changes to the program. But I want to reiterate that the district believes that even if there are positions that can't be funded by PTAs, that we will be able to offer impacted employees a different position that is vacant in the district.
Thank you. Do we have any comments or discussion on this item?
President Corzo, we have Kenneth Chin from the board, and as of right now, there are no attendees for public comment.
Thank you. Go ahead, Trustee Chin.
Can you hear me? There's a lot of background. Thank you. Okay. No, I just wanted, I appreciate the update on this. It's a difficult time when this happens because we have to, the timing is just not right where we just don't get the PTA budgets in. And so because of legal reasons, we have to actually, send layoff notices. This year is especially difficult considering that a lot of the PTAs did have to cancel their fundraising events. They are trying to do things virtually and some other ways to raise the money, but it won't nearly be, I'm pretty sure it won't nearly be what they normally get during this time. And so I really do appreciate the outreach to the PTAs and to the classified staff and the unions, because I personally heard that there has been some uncomfortableness in this round because of the knowledge that the PTAs have not been able to raise as much money. And so from classified staff or from parents, I have heard those comments, and I appreciate the fact that Sue, you are reaching out to them, because I think it will help in the long run. If there's no other comments, I'll make a motion to approve this item.
Thank you, Trustee Chin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Yes from Trustee Corzo. Trustee Chin?
Yes.
Trustee Hitchcock?
Yes.
Trustee Watkins?
Yes.
Trustee Proctor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 8.2, public hearing on California School Employees Association's initial proposal. And so I believe I will be opening a public hearing at this time.
Yes, thank you.
Do I have any public comments on this for this hearing?
Okay, so again, this is this time that we're asking any attendees that have any particular comments on this item in this public hearing to use the raise your hand functionality in Zoom. President Corzo, I do not
Oh.
see any hands raised from the attendees.
Okay, I will now be closing this public hearing and moving on to item 8.3. California School Employees Association initial proposal for the 2021 reopener negotiations.
So per Government Code 3547, all initial contract proposals of the board and employee organization, which relate to negotiations, is required to be presented at public reading and recorded as part of the public records. So attached and presented to the board is the CSCA initial proposal for the 2021 reopener negotiations with the district, and the articles that we will be bargaining are pay and allowances, Article 21, and then health and welfare benefits, Article 23. So this is a reopener negotiations, and so I respectfully request that the board receive CSCA initial proposal.
I make a motion
Thank
to
you.
approve.
So
Okay.
that one is just for information.
Information.
To receive them.
Presents.
Okay. And then President Corzo, the next is also a public hearing on the San Mateo Foster City School District initial proposal as required by law.
Okay, thank you. So I will be opening a public hearing on SMFCSD initial proposal for the 2021 reopener negotiations with CSCA.
So again, at this
Do
time,
we have
any
any public comment?
that would like to participate and make comment on this public hearing, please do so by raising your hand.
Okay, I'm not seeing any public comments, so I will be closing this public hearing at this time. And moving on to item 8.5, which does require a vote, San Mateo Foster City initial proposal for the 2021 reopener for CSCA. Do I have a motion, or Sue, did you want to speak to this?
I'm sorry, I didn't unmute myself. So similarly, the district is required to present their initial proposal at a public meeting and have it recorded as part of the public record. So attached and presented to the board is the district's initial proposal for reopening negotiations next year, and we've included the same articles, Article 21, pay and allowances, and Article 23, health and welfare. So I respectfully request that the Board of Trustees approve the district's initial proposal for the 2021 reopener negotiations with CSCA. I'm happy to take questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Do we have any questions or comments from the board? Okay, and I'm not seeing any public comments. Do we have any public comment for this? Okay, do I have a motion? Motion to approve. Trustee Proctor with the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Yes from Trustee Corzo, Trustee Chin,
Yes.
Trustee Hitchcock,
Yes.
Trustee Watkins,
Yes.
Trustee Proctor. Yes. Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 8, I'm sorry. Actually, board member statements and requests for future agenda items. So I'll just start, and then, I'm sorry, I am actually able to see that we have 2 hands raised, but I will just be very brief because I know that we've been going for a while now, but I do feel like, you know, what's first and foremost on folks' minds is COVID-19 and how that's impacting our community. I just want to make a statement that our board and our district are here to help our community, and we will continue to collaborate with our county, with our cities, and step up to the best of our ability while balancing the needs of our staff, of our students, and we do have to do this as a community. So if folks in the community have ideas or comments or need support, please reach out to us. Please reach out to our school district and let us know. And with that, I'm not able to see who's raising their hand. So Peter, if you could help me, thank you.
Absolutely. Trustee Chin.
I just wanted to reiterate the comments made earlier. I just want to again thank Joan and the rest of the executive cabinet and every one of the teachers and the classified staff and all the family members and community for this, because obviously we are facing unprecedented circumstances, and it is amazing for what we have done so far. It's not perfect, but I'm just proud again to be part of this district. And I just wanted to say thank you. The only other and the only other statement I have is I just hope everyone stays healthy and gets through this next few weeks.
Okay, Trustee Hitchcock.
I just want to also say again how much I truly appreciate our dedicated and amazing team. And it's just amazing to see how our community has come together, and we're going to get through this together. So stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.
And Trustee Proctor.
I don't know if it's too early to look at this, or I guess it's never too early, but kind of looking at the budgetary impact of this situation we're in now, and looking at the reserves, and just kind of looking at best case, worst case scenario as much as we can with the information that we have at this point. I'd like to see that. And then I don't know when it's scheduled for the special education audit, like update or plan, but just to kind of keep that on our mind, as I know we're going through a lot and there's a lot to do right now, but just to kind of keep that as our to-dos. And I wish everyone health and safety at this time, and thank you again.
Awesome. President Corzo, there are no other trustees with their hands up at this moment.
Okay. We will now move on to future meeting dates.
There was a request at one point to have more of, to have an update on COVID-19. We did have it this evening. I didn't know whether or not you wanted to have another special board meeting on April the 9th. We have another regular board meeting on April 23rd. So I'm looking at the entire board as to whether you would like to join back together for an update on COVID-19 on April 9th.
Trustee Hitchcock?
I think we touched on it pretty thoroughly today. Because there's still a lot that you guys are going to be working on. If the rest of the board feels like an April 9th meeting would be sufficient, then I'm in. Otherwise, I'd say let's wait, as our team has a lot of work to do.
Trustee Chin?
I'm wondering whether or not, because things are changing pretty quickly, and we do have some other questions with some other areas that we didn't talk about tonight, whether or not we actually just either hold it or we decide like in a week whether or not we want to do that. I know that now's the time for it to actually set the calendar, but I feel like we have the ability through the emergency situations that we're in that we could actually call a meeting if we needed to do that, or not. I don't know. I kind of feel like I would, we're going into this week. I'd love to know how the teachers are doing this week, but or maybe next. But I'm open as well. I just feel like there are things that are constantly changing, and we may need another update. So.
Okay. Trustee Proctor, you have your hand up, please.
I would like to have another meeting. I think if there's not a lot to update, it'll be a quick one, but things are moving so quickly. I think people would like to hear, I'd like to hear any updates we have. And then also, I can't remember, but I think the shelter in place was scheduled to end around that date. And if it does, but we're still off from school, I think people would maybe want to know what that means for everyone. So I don't know if that's going to change or not, but I think an update would be helpful.
I think an update would be helpful, but I'm wondering if folks are open to maybe having it be so that staff can get a full week off. So instead of, let's say, April 9th, like, could we do April 13th or April 14th to just give folks that week? I'm not sure how staff feel about that, but
I did check with staff and they're prepared for the 9th. So we have the staff available on the 9th if you want to go forward with, but they, I did not check other dates.
do we have to decide the date right now, or could we?
I need to know whether you're interested in a board meeting, and if you are, staff is prepared to do a board meeting on the 9th.
President
All right,
Corzo, we
you
also
go, Brady.
have Trustee Hitchcock who has raised her hand.
I'll raise my hand.
What would that, I guess, an agenda item look like? Because I do think we have a lot going on. The team has a lot going on, and I'd love for them to concentrate on those. What are the protocols on, can we call an emergency meeting should something arise?
So this isn't an emergency anymore. The reason this is a special meeting with the 24 hours was because we were told that we were now being put out of school till May 1st. So, and so this really isn't an agenda item. I'm just trying to get direction from you as to whether to place a board item on the 9th. That's when staff is available and we could just do an update. So it appears that a majority are interested in an update. So I'm feeling like I have staff direction. I have direction for staff to go forward with an update on the 9th. If it's short, it's short, or if there's more, then we'll be ready. So that's just all I needed for today. I think though that Trustee Watkins had her hand up.
Please, Trustee Watkins.
I was just going to say, I just want to make sure that we're balancing. I mean, I kind of agree with Trustee Corzo. Like, I want to make sure that folks get a break and that this is not the, I think that maybe potentially as long as we have a robust communication plan for parents, staff, and for us, I trust Trustee Corzo and Dr. Rosas to figure that out, but I just want to say that I do want to be mindful of that every once in a while. I don't want this to be the reason that people are needing not to have their break. So I think we can potentially do this in other ways if there are not a lot of things to update, but it sounds like we want to hold the date and we'll kind of go from there.
Great, thank you. Okay. We are now moving on to adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, that was Trustee Watkins and Trustee Hitchcock. Okay, and roll call vote, yes, from trustee Corzo, trustee Chin,
Yes.
trustee Hitchcock,
Yes.
trustee Watkins,
Yes.
trustee Proctor.
Yes.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you for tuning in, folks.
Thank you, Peter, for
night.
everything.
Thank
Night.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.